Hi everyone, this is Chris Harding with Power to Light, and this tutorial is on how to do firmware updates. This Murloc you can kind of consider as a computer, and inside there's a microchip, and the microchip, it was originally programmed for what we thought we would need in the near future, but we just can't sit back and not make improvements. So for this whole period of time we've been making small improvements and capabilities on the Murloc. This next upgrade we're about to do basically builds another suite in the house, if you would, if you can break the microchip down into a house. Currently, the chip is half constructed, and inside that half is all the routines and programs that you need to run the Murloc, with the scripting and the sequencing and the internal clock and all that good stuff. However, we've now been able to create another suite that we can put in on this chip, and it'll increase the functions even more, which will be important in the near coming future because we're about to release a new product that will use these new suite upgrades. So, to start on this demo, I want to show you what we've done. I basically hooked up our LCD module, and as you can see, nothing's programmed right now. It shows just what the LCD would look like with no programming. You've got two ways to do a firmware update. The easy way for me is to use an alt-mount programmer like this and make a direct connection into the internal port on the processor that's inside the Murloc. However, I'm assuming most people don't have their own alt-mount programmer. So what we did was we designed the Murloc to be able to take external commands through the COM port to do the upgrade. So what you're going to do is you're just simply going to connect your Murloc up like you would normally fire it using two-line twisted pair wire into the input, and then the other end goes into your computer as normal. Now, a few things I want to point out. If you do this, and when you start to program the Murloc, you want to make sure that there are no interruptions in the upload process, because if you do, what happens is the initial command shuts off the certain parts of the Murloc that you'd need to function correctly, to turn it on and turn it off and to fire cues. And what it does is it uses all 20 pins that are on that processor to take in new data and then place that data in the proper cache that we have set aside inside the Murloc. If during the middle of the process, if something were to happen where your computer would go to sleep, or your Murloc would run out of power, or somebody would pull a wire out, you would interrupt the flash, and your system then would stop updating, and it would be left in that state. The fix would be I'd have to have the system come to me, where I would simply plug this thing into the proper port inside the processor, and then do a manual update. So it's not the end of the world. It would just cost some shipping money for you to send it to me, or you'd have to have your own alt-mount programmer. So to start, you're going to go ahead and hook your computer directly up to the wall charger, because you don't want this thing to go to sleep, and you want to make sure that this computer is not set to hibernate for any reason if it's on a charger during this upgrade part. Any kind of delay, like I said, would cause problems with the comm line. Second thing, you want to make sure you've got a good communication here with your twisted pair wires. And then also you want your Murloc fully charged, and you want the key on here. Okay, now we're going to go back up to the computer, and you're going to simply turn on the uploader. Okay, so I want to show you the actual computer screen that you'd go to. So you set up your uploader. I'm going to go through the same thing I just did. First thing you're going to do is go to Options, and you're going to select what COM port you want. Again, I know it's COM port 6. I'm going to hit OK. Then you can go back up to Setup again. You're going to go to Test. You're going to hit Read, and this will detect whether you've got a good signal. And as you can see, my serial number just popped up, and it's saying it's OK. You can also go through and you can select E-matches. For instance, I've got nothing hooked in, and it's showing I've got nothing hooked in. So this is just a little tool that you can use to make sure that your system's functioning properly. But what you're going to want to do then for the flash is you're going to go to firmware update, and you're going to test the module. And it just said that at the time, 12 o'clock p.m., the module was connected. The firmware is showing this, and this is showing the current firmware number. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to actually update the firmware. And here's another important thing. When you update the firmware, you've got a couple different options out there. Very few customers, when the first Murlocs came out, they were Murloc V1s. Murloc V1s are the original programming, and each firmware is unique to that specific model. All current Murloc customers are using our Murloc V2 or MK2 board. If that's the case, you have to make sure you use the correct firmware processor, and this one happens to be it. It's the MK2 Murloc V2. So you're going to click on this, and then you're simply going to hit update. And right now it's working. It's simply setting up the program, and it will keep going until it's completely finished. Do not interrupt this at all. Okay, so I went ahead and I skipped to the end of the video here real quick. You can see the bar here is completely full, and it's a status OK, and the module restarted. So you're done here. We're going to go right up to the module now and take a look, see what the module's doing. Okay, so as you can see, the LCD light came on, and the system appears to be functioning. The final test you do is you turn the system off, and you turn the system on. What you want to see is it come back to life, and then it do its startup self-test where the lights sequence, and then the main light come on. And there's the sequence lights, self-test, and now of course it's showing what cues that I originally had programmed in, and also it's telling you that it's set for module address 1 and it's currently idle. Okay, so the big thing that you want to do is, number one, before you even start, you want to write down your serial number on the unit, just in case something happens, your computer turns off, your dog trips over the line and pulls it out during the middle of the upload, just so you can give me the serial number so I can redo it for you. Want to make sure you have the correct firmware upgrade, and you want to make sure that your Murloc is fully charged and your computer is plugged in and that it doesn't go to sleep. And the total upload process takes about 15 minutes.